What's up guys, welcome back to another episode of me teaching math. Today we're going to be trying to see how to add, subtract, and multiply polynomials. So first we'll go with addition. So we have 3x plus 5 plus 6x minus 3. Now when you do this, you have to see the like terms that have the same degree. So for example, 3x and 6x are like terms. 5 and negative 3 are like terms. So when they are like terms, we can just add the coefficients up. So we're going to have 3 plus 6 equals to 9. So we're going to have 9x. And then 5 minus 3 is just 2, positive 2. So that's it. 9x plus 2 is the answer. Try a subtracting problem. So we're going to have 6x minus negative 2. Now 6x minus negative 2, when you have a negative times a negative, it's actually a positive. So we're going to have 6x plus negative 2, or 6x plus 2, which is 8x. And then we have negative 1 minus 3. That's just negative 4. So that's the answer. 8x minus 4. Now let's try going back to addition, but we're going to have to add three terms, trinomials, 2 trinomials. So it's still very simple to do. Just add the coefficients up. So 5x squared and negative 2x squared, those are like terms, so let's try adding those up. 5 minus 2 is 3. So we're going to have 3x squared. We also have negative 7x and x. Negative 7 plus x, and plus x is just negative 7 plus 1. So we're going to have negative 6x, of course. And then 3 plus negative 4 is the same as 3 minus 4. And 3 minus 4 is negative 1. So we're going to have 3x squared minus 6x minus 1. So that's the answer. So let me highlight it real quick. Now let's try subtracting 2 trinomials. So we did binomials, subtracting 2 binomials right here. Now let's do trinomials. So first of all, we have 8x squared minus 5x. A minus 5 is 3. Therefore, we'll have 3x squared. Next, we'll have 5x and minus negative 2x. So the same thing here. We're going to have 5x minus negative 2, which is 5x plus 2. So 5 plus 2 is 7. So we're going to have positive 7x. And then last but not least, we're going to have negative 2 minus positive 3, which is negative 2 minus 3. That is negative 5. So that's basically the answer. 3x squared plus 7x minus 5. So that's it for subtraction and addition. Let's go and move on to multiplication. I'll have 4 different examples, by the way, for multiplication. So here's our first multiplication equation, multiplying 2 binomials. So there's an expression called FOIL that you can do, and this is how you can multiply basically the polynomials, you can say. So FOIL, F stands for first. So first we're gonna do 2x times 8x. So 2x times 8x is 16x squared, because you have to add the degrees. So then the FO stands for outer. So we're gonna have 2x and then whoop all the way out times 2. 2x times 2 is just positive 4x. And then FOI, I stands for inner. So we're going to have the real inner one that's like really packed in here, which is negative 6 times 8. Negative 6 times 8, negative 48. So we're going to have negative 48x. And then FOIL, L stands for last. This is the last one. So negative 6 times 2, which is just negative 12. Now, this is not the final answer. That's because we can add like terms, or subtract like terms rather, because we have positive 4x and negative 48x. So we can just combine those, and we can simplify the equation even further. So positive 4 minus 48 is negative 44. So we're going to have minus 44x, and then just minus 12. There's nothing we can do with negative 12. It's an unlike term. So we have the final answer is 16x squared minus 44 minus 12. So that's the answer. Let's try some more examples like that. But this time we're going to be multiplying a binomial by a trinomial. So this is going to be a bit harder, but it's okay. It's still pretty easy. So we're going to have 5x times 2x squared. 5 times 2 is 10. And then x times x squared, we'll have 1 plus 2, which is just 3. So we're going to have x cubed. 10x cubed. Then we have 5x times negative 3x. We're going to have negative 15x squared. And then the third one is 5x times 6. 5x times 6 is positive 30x. So let's write it down here. And then now we're going to multiply the 7 to everything. So 7 times 2 is 14, and then x squared. So we'll write it over here because these are like terms. Negative 15 negative 15x squared and positive 14x squared. These are like terms. So we're going to write it right here down. Now after this, we're going to have 7 times negative 3x, which is negative 21x. So let's write it over here down the 30x because they are like terms. Then we have 7, this is the last one, 7 times 6, which is 42. So we'll just write it here since there's no other constant like term in here. That's not a 4, that does not look like a 4 at all. Let me rewrite that because that looks more like a 9, but so we're going to have plus 42. So now let's do the addition. So we can just bring the 10x cubed down since it's unlike terms. It's a one of a kind. Negative 15 plus 14 is just 1. So we're going to have negative 1 actually. So we're going to have negative x squared. You don't have to write the 1. Positive 30 minus 21x is positive 9x. So let's write it over here. And then 42, we can just bring this down. So we're going to have plus 42. So our final answer, this is our final answer right here. 10x cubed minus x squared plus 9x plus 42. Let's try another example like that. We have trinomial times a trinomial. So it's going to be a little harder. So first, we're going to have 3x squared times 9x squared, which is 3 times 9 is 27. X squared times x squared. 2 plus 2 is just 4, so x to the power of 4. Next up, we have 3x squared times x, which is just 3x cubed. Positive 3x cubed, of course. Plus 3x cubed. And next we have 3x squared times negative 2, which is just negative 6x squared. And then we have negative 7x times positive 9x squared. That is equal to negative 7 times 9 is negative 63. X times x squared is x cubed. So we're going to write it over here below the plus 3x cubed since they're like terms. So let's write it over here. Next we have negative 7x times x, which is negative 7x squared. So we're going to write it down the negative 6x squared. So these are like terms too. Next we have negative 7x times negative 2. We're going to have positive 14x since a negative times a negative, it's a positive. And then we have 4 times negative 9x squared. That is 36x squared. So we'll write it over here. Whoops, I shake the screen. There was an earthquake happening in the background. Plus 36x squared right here. And after this, we'll have 4 times, we did 4 times 9x squared, so we're gonna have 4 times x, which is positive 4x. Right here. And then the last one is 4 times negative 2. And that is equal to negative 8. So we have a lot of colors overlapping in here, but that's alright. I think it is. So now, let's finally do this. So we can bring down the 27x to the 4th. Just rewrite it over here, down right here. Now, positive 3 minus 6 is negative 3. Or sorry, positive 3 minus 63, that's negative 60x cubed. So let's write negative 60x cubed. Next we have negative 6x squared minus 7 is negative 13x squared. Negative 7 minus 6 is negative 13. Plus 30, 36 actually, not 30. We'll have positive 23x squared. And then the next one is 14x plus 4x. That is just 18x. And then finally we can just bring down this negative a because there's no other term like that, just like the first term. So this is the final answer. So we're gonna have 27x to the 4th minus 60x cubed plus 23x squared plus 18x minus 8. Now let's go for one more example, exactly like that. We're gonna have a trinomial times a trinomial. So let's do this. X squared times 3x squared, x squared times 3x squared, that's just 3x to the 4th. Let's be a little faster this time. X squared minus 2x, that's negative 2x cubed. Negative 2x cubed. X squared plus 4 is positive 4x squared. So write it over here again. Next we have 7x times 3x squared. That is 21x cubed. So let's write it over the 2x cubed since they're like terms again. And then we have 7x times negative 2x, which is negative 14x squared. So we're going to write it down positive 4x squared since they are like terms. Next we have positive 6 times 4, which is positive 28x. So we'll write it right here, positive 28x. Next we have 12 times 3x squared. That is equal to positive 36x squared. So we're going to write it right here. And next, positive 12 times negative 2x, which is negative 24x. So we're going to write it below 28x since they're like terms. And then final one right here, we have 12 times 4, which is 48. So I'll just write positive 48 right here. So now let's go into combining like terms. So let's, as usual, bring down 3x to the 4th. Then negative 2x cubed plus 21x cubed. We're gonna have 19x cubed. Positive 19x cubed, of course. And then we have the long row, the 3 one. 4 minus 14 is negative 10. Negative 10 plus 36 is plus 26. Positive 26x squared. And then now let's go to the x now, the normal x. 28 minus 24 is positive 4. So we're going to have plus 4x. And then finally, let's bring down this 48. So our final answer is this monstrosity. We have 3x to the 4th plus 19x cubed plus 26x squared plus 4x plus 48. So that's the final answer. And that's basically it. We're done with these examples. Hope you enjoyed it. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed it and found it educational, feel free to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Turn that button gray, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.